Deathstroke The Terminator. A talented killer and a brilliant thinker, Slade Wilson, better known as Deathstroke the Terminator, has lived a life filled with tragedy. Having endured heartbreak time and again, this assassin for hire has used his grief as a motivating force. It drives him to be an ever-ready threat. He is a ruthless agent, using his intelligence and a large arsenal of weapons to complete every assassination he is hired to perform. Deathstroke the Terminator doesn't take his name lightly. Slade Wilson was a strong, physically active boy. He loved to play sports and developed a reputation for being a talented athlete. When he was 16 years old, Slade made the decision to join the army. He falsified his documents so that he could pose as an 18-year-old and therefore be eligible to enlist. This seemingly small deceit was to alter Slade's life irrevocably. Slade was an exemplary soldier. Naturally athletic and very strong, he soon made a name for himself as one of the Army's best new recruits. The young man earned numerous awards for his accomplishments in combat situations, and was asked to join an elite force in which he would be trained in the latest guerrilla fighting techniques. Slade was also assigned to a very talented and beautiful combat instructor named Adeline Kane. She quickly proved to be Slade's equal as a fighter. The two grew close, very close. Adeline became Slade's lover as well as his teacher, and the two married not long after their first meeting in the guerrilla training sessions. There is a suggestion that a martial arts master named Natas was another of Slade's teachers at the time. Although Slade has never spoken about it, Natas himself has bragged that he taught Slade everything he knows. Some, including the Green Arrow, have dismissed Natas's claim, but Slade has neither confirmed nor denied them. As a member of an elite corps, Slade was sent on numerous missions. These assignments were always exceptionally dangerous, testing every soldier to the limit. As a result, the members of this group grew very close. One of the strongest bonds formed by the missions was the one between Slade and a man named Wintergreen. The older, more experienced Wintergreen took Slade under his wing, and he became something of a mentor. Wintergreen and Slade soon saved each other's lives in combat, which strengthened their bond with one another. Slade was doubly grateful, as he had every reason to treasure his life, having recently learned that he was going to be a father. Slade wanted to raise his son in partnership with his new wife Adeline. Thanks to his tremendous displays of courage on the battlefield, Slade stood out among his peers. He was awarded many of the highest commendations the army had to offer. Always keen to enhance his skills, Slade volunteered for new military experiments that were supposed to give soldiers the ability to resist truth serums that might be administered to them during an enemy interrogation. However, this was a deceit. The army were actually testing a new drug designed to turn regular recruits into super soldiers by enhancing their physical abilities. The drug had that effect on Slade to an incredible degree, but it also magnified his intelligence. Suddenly, Slade was utterly superior to normal humans in both mind and body. The new and improved Slade Wilson began to lose interest in the military life. His wife gave birth to a second son, Joseph. Then, as a side effect of the experiment, Slade's health temporarily took a turn for the worse, and he found himself weakened and bedridden. He was taken off active duty. However, when Slade learned that his friend and mentor, Wintergreen, had been captured by the Vietnamese, he disobeyed orders and rescued him. Slade was given a dishonorable discharge from the army as a punishment. It was a dreadful blow. The army had been his life. Without it, he was directionless. Feeling the urge to use his superior physical and mental gifts in military activity, Slade decided to become a mercenary. This meant he could now undertake near impossible missions, which would utilize his super soldier powers to the full, and make a living in the process. To mark his renaissance as a deadly assassin for hire, he adopted a new identity, Deathstroke the Terminator. This role began to dominate his life. When a military leader from the Middle East sought revenge against Deathstroke, Slade's two identities collided. A quasi-soldier kidnapped Slade's son Joseph and threatened to kill him by slitting his throat. Deathstroke was able to save Joseph, but not before the quasi-soldier had wounded Joseph badly enough to leave him mute for the rest of his life. Enraged by the danger in which her husband had placed their son, Slade's wife Adeline confronted him and shot him in the eye. Adeline left her husband, taking the boys with her. Angry over the divorce, Slade threw himself wholeheartedly into his Deathstroke persona, travelling the world as the ultimate soldier for hire. Left to raise the boys on her own, Adeline became extremely concerned when her first son, Grant, followed in his father's footsteps by going to military school. Meanwhile, the other son, Joseph, was showing a more creative streak, with talents as a musician and artist. On a mission to Cambodia, Deathstroke rescued a woman named Lillian Worth. Deathstroke had been hired to protect her from the murderous Khmer Rouge as she travelled across the border from her native country to Thailand. The two became lovers, and Deathstroke unknowingly fathered a girl with Lillian. Lillian gave birth to Rose Worth 9 months later, but she kept the child secret, believing this was in Rose's best interests. Meanwhile, another of Deathstroke's offspring, his first son Grant, had developed powers similar to his father's. Grant idolized Deathstroke, but he did not know he was his idol's son. Clad in a similar costume, Grant had taken the moniker Ravager for its violent connotations. Among the many contracts offered to Deathstroke was one from the criminal organization known as Hive. It put a price on the heads of the Teen Titans. Deathstroke turned the contract down, but his son, in the guise of the Ravager, took it on. The Ravager bore a grudge against the Titans. His apartment had been destroyed after Starfire crashed into it, and he also blamed the team for the breakdown of his relationship with Carol Sladke. He set out to kill the team, motivated both by money and a desire for revenge. Tragically, he was so obsessed that he ignored Deathstroke's warning that his unstable powers were destroying him. He pushed his abilities too far in battle against the Teen Titans and died in his father's arms. Deathstroke was heartbroken and sought to avenge his son's death by taking on the Titans himself. This first encounter began a generation-long vendetta between Deathstroke and the Teen Titans. It took several years, but with the help of a superpowered teenager named Terra, Deathstroke was able to capture most of the Teen Titans and turn them over to Hive. Nightwing, one of the Titans Deathstroke hadn't captured, joined forces with Deathstroke's other son, Joseph, now calling himself Jericho, and freed their captured colleagues. Terra was killed in the conflict, and members of the Titans, including Changeling, wanted their own revenge on Deathstroke. Deathstroke seemed to disappear in the aftermath of the fight with Hive, but he soon resurfaced to resume his career as a paid soldier. In a bizarre twist of fate, one of Deathstroke's missions involved joining forces with some former Teen Titans to help rescue current members who had been captured by the criminal organization known as the Wildebeest Society. This time, though, the leader of the criminal organization was a former Titan ally, Deathstroke's son Jericho. Jericho had been possessed by a demonic spirit and had captured the Titans so he could use their bodies as vessels for several other dark agents. Nightwing, Troya, and others joined with Deathstroke in an attempt to free their friends. The final battle came down to Deathstroke and Jericho. Jericho's true consciousness eventually surfaced, overcoming the evil spirit for a moment. He begged his father to kill him to liberate him from the possession he was enduring. Deathstroke resisted at first, but then did as Jericho wished, killing his son in order to free him. Deathstroke had now seen both of his sons die in conflicts involving the Teen Titans. Inevitably, Jericho's death renewed Deathstroke's immense hatred for this group of teenage heroes. A mercenary's life is in a constant state of flux. Deathstroke has shifted locations and allegiances according to the needs of his job. Sometimes he had been on the side of justice. He once protected the American president from assassination, but just as often he has served on the side of evil. Deathstroke does not discriminate, but this lack of moral centre has had a heavy price. His one true love, Adeline, drifted into madness, blaming Deathstroke for the deaths of their children. At one time, Slade even had to fight his own half-brother, who briefly posed as the new Ravager. Throughout all of these challenges, Deathstroke had support from his old army buddy Wintergreen. The friends worked closely together, even forming a short-lived hero organization. Then Deathstroke learned that Adeline, still in the grips of insanity, had become the new leader of Hive. She was killed in a battle with the Teen Titans. The loss of yet another family member at the hands of the Titans was tempered by some positive, albeit surprising news. It transpired that Deathstroke's son Jericho had transferred his soul to deep within Deathstroke. Jericho's spirit was alive, but it lacked a body to inhabit. Deathstroke decided that a member of the newest incarnation of the Teen Titans would be the perfect vessel for his son's spirit. In the ensuing battle, Jericho took over each Titan in turn. However, while controlling the Titans, Jericho also killed Wintergreen. It was a devastating turn of events for Deathstroke, who now felt utterly alone in the world. Jericho, meanwhile, was captured by the Titan known as Cyborg, and his essence was stored in a computer program. Having lost his son again, Deathstroke set out on another mission. This one was personal. He had learned of his daughter Rose's existence and wanted to track her down. When Deathstroke found Rose, he kidnapped her and injected her with the same compound of drugs and chemicals that had been given him powers decades earlier. However, she reacted to them in an entirely different way from her father. Rose descended into madness. She gouged out one of her own eyes in a fit of insanity, hoping it would prove to Deathstroke that she idolized him. Deathstroke trained his daughter in the martial arts, helping her to become as proficient a fighter as he was. As her uncle and brother had done before, Rose took the name Ravager and donned a disguise very similar to her father's. Deathstroke hoped that this new Ravager would now become his greatest ally and partner. Deathstroke renewed his role as a soldier for hire. He worked as a bodyguard for Dr. Light, and even joined a team of supervillains organised by an alternate universe version of Lex Luthor. Alternate Lex wanted to use the villains to help them take over the world, as part of a larger plan that would have destroyed the entire universe. Once the alternate Lex was defeated, the team of villains disbanded, and Deathstroke returned to his own endeavours. Rose overcame her insanity and joined the Teen Titans. Although the other members accepted her, they never fully trusted her. Several of her new colleagues doubted her loyalty to the group and the cause of justice in general. Around this time, Teen Titan Raven resurrected Jericho's body. Jericho's soul was taken from its computer program housing and placed back into its rightful corporal vessel. As part of the resurrection, Raven expunged all evil from Jericho. In gratitude for his new lease on life, Jericho joined the Teen Titans alongside his sister. Deathstroke was livid that the Teen Titans had now taken 2 of his children, and swore that he would wrench his children from the Titans' grasp. To accomplish this mission of vengeance, Deathstroke put together a team of teenage supervillains known as Titans East. They included Batgirl, whom Deathstroke had drugged with super soldier compound so he could control her, and Match, the flawed clone of Superman's own clone, Connor Kent. The Titans East and the Teen Titans battled one another in an intense war that would ultimately centre on Ravager and Jericho. Deathstroke wanted his children back so desperately he was willing to risk the lives of both sets of Titans. Even after the fight between the Titans and Titans East, Ravager and Jericho did not return to their father's side. Deathstroke came to realise that his kids were probably better off with the Teen Titans anyway. At least this group of heroes could give them a stable family, something Deathstroke himself could never manage. Rose and Jericho both eventually left the team, however. Everything about their behaviour since would suggest that they were still following their father's ways. Soon after the dissolution of Titans East, Deathstroke went back into business as a mercenary par excellence. He attacked the wedding celebrations of Green Arrow and Black Canary, and also took control of Geoforce, a short-term Justice League member. Deathstroke manipulated Geoforce into performing evil deeds and acting as a spy within the Justice League. This resembled the way that Deathstroke had used Geoforce's sister, Terra, against the Teen Titans years earlier. Geoforce hated Deathstroke, and the hero had longed for vengeance against the assassin for many, many years. The struggle between Geoforce and Deathstroke came to a head when the two faced each other in battle. Geoforce used Deathstroke's own sword to inflict a grave but non-fatal wound, thus freeing himself from Deathstroke's control and gaining the satisfaction of having avenged Terra. Deathstroke recently joined another team of supervillains. This group, led by the mysterious Libra, was perhaps the strongest team of evildoers ever assembled. It looked as though they stood a great chance of defeating the heroes of the universe once and for all. Deathstroke didn't play as big a part in this team as he had in the group united under the alternate Lex Luthor. However, wherever Deathstroke goes and whoever he's working for, he remains a lethal force. Despite the deep personal tragedies he has faced, Deathstroke has had an amazing success as a mercenary and assassin, and has proved himself to be among the most dangerous beings alive. His physical and mental abilities are formidable, while his life of bitter losses has left him cynical, cruel, and sharp as his sword's edge.